How do you see this ending?
Well, I've spent all day researching and writing an article that I hope to get published tomorrow. That's about basically the escalation ladder, and I'll just talk about because I find it fascinating, but I'm a nerd, so what the hell. But your standard single prong escalation ladder basically is logical, meaning that you start down here in peace, you finish up here in war, and it's just it's the steps to take to advance. What has to happen in terms of provocation? What makes you move from a peaceful thing to a prepared stance? Something had to trigger that. Then what would it take to prepare you to being even more prepared, then to preempt, and then to be in full-scale war? How do you run up that escalation ladder? But that very rarely happens. You very rarely get the single strand. Oftentimes you get multiple strands, and a lot of times they use this in business. For instance, you have people talking about global warming and climate change policy, and then so you can't just say what is our strategy for oil, because you need, as your strategy for oil progresses, it impacts your strategy for nuclear energy, which impacts your strategy for renewable energy. And so the three things have to coordinate with each other. And that's what we're looking at right now. We have Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran. Now there's each one of those can break down to different. For instance, Hamas, Hezbollah, but is it, Hezbollah isn't just Hezbollah, because when we speak of the Lebanese border, there's a Lebanese Hamas out there. They just fired some weapons today. They're hooking and jabbing. The Palestinian Islamic Jihad is operating out of Lebanon. There's other Palestinian factions operating out of Lebanon, and Hezbollah is trying to control them. So even within Hezbollah, there's, different ladders going up. Iran, they deal with the Syrian and Iraqi Shia militias, which are responsive to Iran, but also the Houthi. And we just saw the Houthi just decide the hell with it. They went, screw it, we're going to war, launch the missiles. And Iran's going, what? Don't launch the missiles. Don't launch the missiles, because you just screwed up my escalation ladder. I'm sitting here because Iran's talking to the United States. You know this. The Iran foreign minister came to New York. Okay, there were conversations, direct conversations, the kind of conversations that have to take place, which is, hey guys, Israel screwed up. Right now I got a whole bunch of screaming meanies in Syria and Iraq that are screaming for your blood, and they're going to get it. Now the question is, how are you going to respond? Because we're going to try and slow them down, but we can't stop them. There has to be a pressure relief valve. The pressure relief valve is they're going to get to fire some drones and rockets against your bases. You're going to take casualties. So you get to bomb our stuff, and we're going to take casualties. This is how we're going to control. We're going to work our escalation up here, but we're doing it in a way to relieve pressure, not increase pressure. It's a pressure relief system, which works until the Houthi starts firing rockets. Now the Americans have to start shooting that down and change the equation, and now you see the escalation go up, but it wasn't intended to go up. And now Hezbollah is sitting there going, damn it, they're out there, hooking and jabbing in the deserts of Syria and Iraq, and we're here. We got to start. And Hezbollah is working with Iran to communicate through their various channels to both Israel, because Hezbollah has a direct line with the Israelis. They have a direct line with Israel. I'm just telling you right now, they do. And Hezbollah is telling the Israelis, we're going to kill about 40 of you guys the next week, and you're going to kill about 50 of our guys, and we're just going to let it hang with there, okay? We don't want this thing to get out of control. We're going to limit the battlefield here, limited scope, escalation ladder. Meanwhile, Hamas is out there doing their thing, and Israel overreacts by blowing up a refugee camp. Boom! Enraged people more. Now you got to bring the escalation ladder up even more to relieve the pressure, because that's all this is. It's a pressure relief system, and you keep increasing the pressure. And this is where we're at right now. Very, very dangerous system. The United States is deploying, in the process of deploying 2 aircraft carriers, a Marine Amphibious Readiness Group, a whole bunch of ships off the coast. You guys, I hope everybody understands that's nothing. Literally, it's zero combat power. Scott, they have hundreds of airplanes. Yeah, so what? What are they going to do? You think the United States are going to fly multiple combat sorties against against Hezbollah, because the second they do that, Iran gets involved. And you know what isn't going to happen? America's not going to beat Iran. Can't happen. Donald Trump tried to flex that muscle. Remember when they shot down the RQ-4 Global Hawk? And Trump was saying, we got to strike the Iranian defense systems. And the Pentagon went up to him and said, boss, you do that, and the escalation ladder kicks in. And what's going to happen is you're going to hit them, they're going to hit us. Now, you're going to get pissed because when they hit us, they're going to sink a ship. And when they sink a ship and you got 300 dead sailors, you're going to say, hit them hard. And when you hit them hard, you're going to say, hit their oil. Then they're going to hit Saudi Arabian oil. And then it's all over because the economy sunk. And now we're in a general war with Iran, and we don't have the troops to do that. It's going to take us 9 to 12 months just to generate this power. Now we got to move the power overseas into the Middle East. This ain't Desert Storm. We don't have ports that are going to receive us without fire. The Iranians are going to be taking out the ports, sinking the ships, blowing up the airfields. 900,000 men is what it's going to take, and even then there's no guarantee of victory. We know this because we've been through this before. It's not like, Joe Biden is going, hey, what happens if we go to war against Iran? It was just a couple years ago, the Pentagon goes, we got the answer to that one, boss. We lose. So all this deployment of forces is purely for political show, for domestic political consumption, so Joe Biden can say, I'm doing something, but he's doing nothing. It's all part of the game.
I would prefer that a peaceful solution could be found to these problems. I would have preferred that war didn't break out. But a rabid dog is running in the streets, and I'd prefer he didn't have rabies. But now that he does, he needs to be put down.